Do the Dallas Cowboys have to make a move before the trade deadline? All that and more in this episode of the Locked On Cowboys podcast.
You are Locked On Cowboys, your
Locked
daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked on Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. Joining me today, as always, is Landon McCool. You can check him out on Twitter at McCoolBCB. We've got more of your Twitter questions that we want to get to today, including this first one from Jared. He says, does the recent success of other Dallas teams or other teams in the NFL put pressure on the Cowboys front office to make a move before the deadline?
I mean, I think if it does, it's all just, media based, pressure. It's not any actual pressure in any kind of results based way.
I think he's basically asking, hey, because the Texas Rangers are doing well, do the Cowboys have to make a move to steal some of the spotlight back?
Yeah, I don't think Dave Hellman was wrong to suggest that because the Cowboys were not the lead dog in the DFW sports news cycle that Jerry would want to shake it up a little bit. And look, I think traditionally that has kind of played out in a lot of ways. I think have to these are all situations that are not like you don't make trades based on needing to make a trade. It's not like you go out there and feel like, oh, we've got to make a trade, so let's go out.
We've got to hit our quota
trade.
on trades.
You do trades based on whether it's a good fit for what you're looking for, and whether you think the price is right for the value that you're receiving. I think that there are some trades out there of players that have been kind of publicly made known to be available from their teams. I think there's some trades out there that the Cowboys could look into and could kick around and maybe even eventually avail themselves of. But I don't think that and I'm being maybe a little too obvious here. I don't think that there is any pressure, prompted by the fact that the Eagles made a trade or the fact that the Rangers are in the World Series or, I think Jerry likes to make us think that those are things that will prompt a trade so that he can create more furor and then reclaim the the news cycle. But I don't know that actually adds any real pressure to the team.
And let's just be honest here. The Cowboys have already made 4 trades this calendar year between trading for Stephon Gilmore, trading for Brandon Cooks, trading Kelvin Joseph to Miami for Noah Igbenogany, and then trading for Trey Lance ahead of the season. So it's not like they haven't made any moves. In fact, this is the most trading I think I've ever remember them doing, in a single kind of calendar year, especially when you look back at them getting Hankins last year. I don't think they make a deal like this week. The deadline's on Tuesday. I think they see how this Rams game plays out, see what the health of their roster looks like before they make a move. But my thing is I keep looking at the roster and it's like, where's the one spot that's obvious that they need to go out and make a trade? I don't know yet. And I think maybe we'll find out more after this game. You could say corner, but look around the league. There's just not a lot of corners out there that teams are giving up.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I think that, look, I mean, the Eagles had a clear need there. And again, let's point out the fact that the reason the Eagles had a need there is because they didn't do a good enough job filling the need earlier.
They thought Terrell Edmonds would be a good cheap option, and he wasn't. They couldn't play him there.
And that's kind of part of the issue, I think, is that we forget that the reason that these teams sometimes have to trade at the deadline is because they didn't do enough up front or in the offseason to fill that position, right? So I feel like the Cowboys don't get enough credit for filling the position and the depth charts when the trade deadline comes down because that they are in a good spot. Now, again, does that mean that they should be turning down good trades that have value of good players? Absolutely not. Should they be trying to improve their team? Yes, absolutely they should. But I also think that there's something to the idea that their roster is such that, a lot of these trades aren't palatable because it's not necessarily worth giving up assets for something that is probably equal to, or if only a little bit better than what you've got.
I'll give you an example because I am of the belief that I think they could add another quality cornerback and be set, because I've made my thoughts known on Jordan Lewis. But you start to look at like the cornerback options that aren't named Patrick Surtain and Jalen Johnson, and it's like
that's
Caleb Farley for the Titans, who's been injured a lot. Kyer Elam in Buffalo, who's been a healthy scratch multiple weeks this year. Those are both outside corners that can't play for their current teams. And then you look at the Cowboys roster, like, are they better than Nashawn Wright, Noah Igbenogany, Eric Scott? Maybe. And we'll even say probably. But is it enough for you to give up a 5th round pick, which you don't even have right now?
Which you don't even have.
Traded away. It would be a future 5th round pick. Maybe, but I'm not certain that those guys are substantially better.
And before we're willing to like give away, and I understand that there is certainly a market surplus or an inequity in the value of late round picks. I understand that there is a value in trading those picks for veteran players, but the Cowboys have also had success using those picks to get players. So I think that the idea that, especially since they've given away all of this coming drafts, kind of late round picks, middle round picks, you're gonna have to dip into a year after that, and I'm all for a trade, but I think it needs to be something that you feel like you're getting clear value for there, and you're not just making a trade for the sake of making a trade, especially when it's incrementally better than the young players that you've got on your roster already that you feel like maybe could get from here to there just with a little bit of playing time potentially.
I will say linebacker is the one spot that I think you could get. I don't know about an upgrade, but you could just get somebody else that you feel good about. I know there's some people that have mentioned Jordan Hicks from the Vikings. I don't know how likely it is they trade him. He's older, but he just had a fantastic game against the 49ers. But
he's had a great season with them,
he's had a great season.
Yeah.
But I'm saying somebody like that, a non-Pro Bowl linebacker with a cheap salary that you could use in a rotation until Leighton Vander Esch gets back. If that guy is available, that's what I would like to see them do. But
is he available? That's the question. Right?
It's the same thing as corner. You look around the league, look at some of the linebacker depth charts around the NFL, and it's brutal. We mentioned Josie Jewell from the Broncos. That's somebody who I'm interested in. Jordan Hicks. Again, you're looking for like an average to slightly above average linebacker that you can get with a late round pick swap. That's probably what you're hoping for here.
Yeah, just somebody kind of rental for this year at corner, at linebacker to kind of fill in, injury holes that you've got there. But then again, maybe you come out here and Bell and Clark play incredible against the Rams, and you're just like, maybe you don't need it. Maybe I don't need a trade for Luke Gifford to come back from Tennessee from a sinking ship.
That one. Honestly, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
I mean, honestly, if they want it, like something like that, if you want to go get Luke Gifford for like conditional seventh or like trade 7th round picks, I'm all for that, But I think the idea, like, trading. Unfortunately, you're at a spot where you either need to take a very big swing and trade like a 2nd or 3rd round pick for someone who's actually going to move the needle, or you're going to be trading for someone like that, Luke Gifford, who is quality depth special teams player, for very little. I don't know that middle range of trade talent is very good, and also worth it considering how few of those picks you have now.
All right, let's move on to the playmakers on offense, because there's a lot of people that don't believe the Cowboys have enough offensive weapons to compete with the Eagles and the 49ers. We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fastest and the easiest way to buy tickets for all of the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I absolutely love Gametime. I'm thinking about maybe buying some tickets to Buccaneers Bills here on Thursday night. Should be a lot of fun. Gametime is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your upfront total, so you know exactly what type of deal you're getting without any hidden fees. You can buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem promo code LOCKEDONNFL, all one word, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast. We want to thank you for making Locked On Cowboys your first listen every single day. I want to let you know football season is here and Locked On is kicking up the coverage with Locked On NFL Kickoff Live. Each Friday, Locked On will go live at 2 p.m. Eastern on every Locked On NFL YouTube channel. Host Tanisha Batiste, Jarvis Davis, and Kyle Krabs will break down every game on the NFL slate to get you ready for your team's matchup, your fantasy lineups, your betting angles, and more. Plus, get the in-depth local analysis from our stable of NFL hosts across the country who know these teams better than anyone else. Find Locked On NFL Kickoff Live every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern on any Locked On NFL YouTube channel. Landon, let's get to another question. This is a really good one from Carter. He wants to know, does the offense have enough playmakers, or do they need to go out and grab someone else?
I think if you wanted to go out and grab somebody else, I mean, I think there probably would be room to try to fit them. But I also think that I would like to see them kind of just get things straight with Brandon Cook. I would like to see them, get Ferguson more touches. I think that the problem is more right now not getting the ball to all the playmakers than I think it is not having enough playmakers. And the Gallup situation is kind of one that you would maybe hope that you could replace. But I honestly much like our conversation in the last segment, it's like ultimately who's available. It's like
before you even get to who's available, like in an ideal world, what is the type of playmaker that you would like to add to this offense right now, as is?
Well, I think it would be great to get another kind of reliable route runner type that could win early. I think it would be, I don't know that you need necessarily another deep option or a speed option. I just think that you need to avail yourself of the guys that you have a little bit better. I would say an outside guy who could give you, some easy wins, especially kind of in the middle to intermediate range. More of a true X, honestly, I think would be very helpful at this point, just to kind of help consistently move the chains.
I got a name for you then.
Let's hear it.
Actually, I've got two. So if you're looking for the X option, I wouldn't be surprised to see DeAndre Hopkins get traded. Now, the problem with Hopkins is he just has such a lack of speed, and I already feel like this offense is kind of slow as is. And Hopkins has a fairly decent salary. And can you afford to pay Hopkins and CeeDee Lamb after this year, and Michael Gallup and Brandon Cooks? I don't know. That seems like it's a lot of money into your receiving core.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know what Tennessee's contract is with him right now, but I would only really be interested in that if it was a year rental. I'm not looking to have Hopkins on the team long term, I don't think.
But I think he got enough guaranteed money for the next 2 years, I believe. And I think that's what makes it a little tricky.
Yeah, that does make it a little tricky, honestly.
I got another option while I'm pulling up Hopkins' salary. If you wanted a guy that wins early in the routes, Hunter Renfrow is available. And when I mean available, I mean like
very available.
But the issue with Renfrow is he is a slot-only option, and you already play CeeDee Lamb heavily in the slot. You've got Jake Ferguson, who kind of occupies the middle of the field. Can you afford to bring in a slot-only option on this team when you already have a guy like Jalen Tolbert, who's your number 4, who's not playing at all right now?
I think you can afford it because it's going to cost you zero to do it. But the question is, is he going to move the needle? Because you're just not going to be able to get him on the field very easily. You look, I like Hunter Renfrow, and I think he would be a nice addition. but I'm not moving CD Lamb out of the slot to play Hunter Renfrow.
No,
Like I'm
that's the issue.
just not. So
I've
yeah.
got Hopkins' contract, by the way.
Yeah,
So he's got no guaranteed money left on his deal after this season.
Okay.
Now the Titans would be on the hook for like 13 million over the next 2 years, 2024 and 2025, which makes me think that you're going to have to probably give up like a third round pick for him.
Yeah.
But a third round pick to rent DeAndre Hopkins for it would basically cost you nothing this season to do that.
But I mean, your third round pick. Yeah, that seems pricey for a 1-year rental for DeAndre Hopkins, right? Like he's had a pretty decent year from what it seems like. Man, by the way, if you guys haven't had a chance to check out those wide receiver metric that was released by Brian Burke, really cool tool. But yeah, I think that, for the most part, this is where you wish you had like a 5th round pick, right? Like to like, cause I feel like that would be, or, even a 4th, I probably would be like, okay, maybe you could throw in a 4th this year and then, God, but you really,
they don't have their 4th this year because of Trey Lance.
Right. Because of Trey Lance. So yeah, I mean, it would need to be like, oh God, yeah, giving away your 3rd is just a lot. Maybe
it's a
you
lot,
give away 2 picks next year or something. Like, I don't know. Like,
I would prefer to do it with somebody whose contract I like a little bit more, because there's also a $1.05 million per game roster bonus that he has. It's quite a lot. Now, I don't know how much the Titans would pick that up or how that works, but yeah, that one's tricky. Other than Renfrow and DeAndre Hopkins, the only other name that we've heard is Jerry Jeudy, who the Cowboys have reportedly liked in the past, but he's the same thing. He's somebody who his contract is up at the end of the year. He is the route runner, kind of separator on the outside. But what would it take to rent him for the next 11 games? I'm guessing Denver's going to want at least a 3rd.
And what's Sutton's deal? I mean, I haven't kept track of him.
Sutton's on a very manageable contract. But I don't know.
He's not the same player that he was.
He's not the separator. He is more of the go up and win a contested ball, 50-50, that kind of stuff.
Feels like a lot of what you've got in Gallup, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, so there you go. It's not like there's an easy solution here for a lot of this stuff. And that's why I think, giving some other guys some more snaps, trying to figure out a better way to use Cooks, Tolbert, getting more options. I think these are all, and look, it just more usage of Ferguson. Honestly, I harped on this a little bit yesterday, but having kind of combed through that analytic mapping that Burke released yesterday, Ferguson is being underused. Especially considering how much of a yak player he is. They got to find a way to get the ball to him more, and to complete some more of these passes to him. And I think that's something that Dak is, really needed at different times in his passing attack, is a reliable tight end option. It just feels like they need to find more targets for him specifically. And then, you hope that you get some better results. And I think you will get better results from guys like Schoonmaker and when they get more targeting moving forward. So I just think you need to mix in more folks. That's really the note I would have.
Yeah. I mean, I'm usually one of the ones that wants the Cowboys to go out and get more playmakers and stuff, but I just don't see any really good fits. Not like when Amari got traded, and it doesn't seem like there's a name out there. I will say there is one player out there that I would like a lot, Hollywood Brown, but I think you're going to run into the same issues that they have with Brandon Cooks, where the team is just not really designed to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah. I mean, they need to just take more shots. It's like
I'd like to see them do that before I invest more into those type of receivers.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like really where you feel like they need to attack the field more is, kind of the middle of the field, the medium distance. That's really where it feels like there's a huge hole in this passing attack. So,
all right, let's get to another question, including how do the Cowboys fix their offensive line coming out of the bye week? We will get to that next. This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. It is so easy to create a free job post on LinkedIn Jobs. All you have to do is add your job and then the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. This episode is also brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, all you have to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks is the most fun that I've had playing DFS. You can win up to 25 times your money. There's so many different players and stat projections out there. It's just so much fun. I also love the PrizePick reboot policy, which will reboot your entry if one of your players gets injured in the first half and does not return for the second half. That player is rebooted. These are available for NFL games and college football top 25 matchups. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, everydayers. On tomorrow's show, we've got the crossover show with the Locked On Rams guys, so make sure you tune in for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got to talk to them last year ahead of the Cowboys matchup, which, as you'll remember, Dallas won with Cooper Rush in a kind of ugly game. So be on the lookout for that. Later, our last question here from Evan. He wants to know, if you're the Cowboys, how do you get the starting offensive line working better? Mute. You're a mute. You're good. You're just so excited.
I'm so excited. I yelled and I had to get it muted. I think the first thing is health. Getting Zach Martin a week off of that leg is going to be hugely beneficial for him.
Same with Biotish.
And frankly, same with Terrence Steele. Just another week of rehab to kind of get his knee better, because he has just not looked like the same player as he has previously. Just not, comfortable on the knee, I don't think.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Who is their healthiest offensive lineman right now?
Tyler Smith.
Is it? I mean, he's been dealing with a hamstring injury all year.
I mean, yeah, that's small potatoes compared to what everybody else is dealing with.
Was dealing with it. Was it a knee or ankle injury?
Yeah,
knee injury
and a knee. Biotish.
It's crazy how every single one of those guys, they have all missed a game, right? Well, I guess Terrence Steele hasn't.
No, Steele hasn't missed. Of all the people who haven't missed the game, the guy that's coming off the ACL injury, rushing back from the ACL injury, has not missed a game. So I think just health is going to help. And then again, one thing that you and I were talking about before show that I think is going to be a huge help that is going to go under the radar a little bit is the return of Jeff Blasco. And I know that he's the running backs coach, and that may not seem like makes sense, but the truth of the matter is that Blasco is the one who's in charge of the run game. Not just the run.
Biggest issue with the Cowboys offensive line right now.
Exactly. And I think, having been the former assistant offensive line coach, he obviously has a huge part in making sure that the running backs room and the offensive line are married, especially in the run game. And yeah, I think that's the biggest problem with the offensive line hasn't been pass protection necessarily. It's been run blocking. So I think that if Blasco can come back, help organize things a little bit better, hopefully kind of get your running game back on track a little bit more, that's going to help with the rest of the offensive line play across the board, right? You're going to have better success running the football. It's going to mean for a little bit more manageable third downs, hopefully. And hopefully you don't even need to get to third down. You can just get some more efficient play in first and second down, and you're picking up first downs. Because right now what's happening is that the Cowboys are struggling on an efficiency level to run the football,
So
and
bad.
ultimately to the point where it's become, Dak live or die on third downs. I mean, you just can't simply throw the football all three downs, and so when you do run the football, you got to have some kind of efficiency, and it certainly can't be a negative play, which is what's happening a lot more. I mean, one of the big things that's happened since Zeke has left is that the Cowboys are incurring a lot more negative plays in the run game, and which they just simply can't do. And
And I don't
that's
know if that's a lot of Z. I mean, I don't think it's Pollard's fault. I think the blocking has just been bad. He's had to do
not
so much
necessarily, no.
dancing behind, but I agree. Like they're getting crushed on first and second down runs. Absolutely crushed. And it's really limiting their offense. And I guess for me, that's the thing I want to see coming out of the bye week. And I know it's not all going to get fixed in one bye week, but I want to see it over the next month. They've got 4 games coming up in the next month. 3 of them they're going to be favored in. I mean, it's the Rams, Carolina, and I think was it Washington
Eagles.
coming up.
The Eagles,
Well, the
I'm pretty sure.
Eagles. That's the one they're not going to be favored
Yeah.
in. But
Oh, yeah, then after that, yeah.
you
think
got
it's
to win.
Washington.
You got to win 3 of the 4. And I want to see the run game. I don't care about the overall numbers. Like if you get to 150 rushing yards, it's when you run, can you be
Efficiency,
efficient? And that's what we said in the Charger game. Like we didn't need
Yeah.
to see them run 35 times. It's just when they ran, could they be efficient? The answer was no. And Dak had to bail them out. Dak's not going to be able to do that every single game. So if you can start getting some 5, 6, 7 yard runs on first down, I promise you this offense is going to look better.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is that I think it's easy for some folks to look at analytics in general and just say, well, just throw the ball early, but you have to run the ball eventually. Like you can't play a game, and there's a reason that we haven't played a game where no one has run the ball on offensive side of the ball yet, and don't think you will. Is that ultimately you need to run the ball in order to make your passing offense efficient enough.
Yeah.
And you want to help your offensive line, like especially an offensive line that's struggling. Let them lean on defenders a little bit than having to play backwards. So I do think that more efficiency in the offensive line, more health in the offensive line, more efficiency in the run game will help the overall offensive line. Look, I mean, we know the talent of these guys,
And this is their 3rd game together ever.
Yeah,
Ever.
and so I think that's it will sort itself out. But I think that they needed to do some tinkering in order to kind of get that going, and then get their feet underneath them, for goodness sakes. All 5 of them, like you said, have either been injured or coming off of major surgery. So getting them kind of a little bit in a healthier state, I think, is going to work wonders.
Yeah, and if it doesn't, that's when I'm starting to get concerned.
Yeah,
Like if they have this same offensive line for the next month and they're just not getting better in the run game, that's when I'll start getting concerned. But we're only 2 games into this, and the Cowboys have won one of these games. They've lost one. And on the positive note, they've been excellent in pass protection. Like they've done a really, really good job. So we know that they can do that. It's just working on the timing of the run game, working on getting to your spots, making the blocks, and then having the running back see it. I do think in a matter of time, as long as everybody stays relatively healthy, they're going to get better.
I agree.
All right. That is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Cowboys your first listen every single day. Again, tomorrow is a crossover show. Friday, we will be back to preview the game. Go check us out on YouTube. We are free and available on all platforms. Go follow Landon on Twitter @McCoolBCB. I'm @Marcus_Mosier, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.